Hey, shall we? It's 2 minutes past two. And shall we just start our seminar today? So, hello everyone. My name is Zhang Qi from Dublin City University. I would like to welcome everyone here today to our research seminar series on the topic of translanguaging, multimodality, and Chinese language education. So today it's my pleasure to open the research seminar series and introduce our first speaker, Dr. Danping. Danping is a senior lecturer and program leader of Chinese at the University of Auckland. She is also serving on the subject expert group for Chinese to review assessment standards for the National Certificate of Educational Achievement as part of the ongoing educational reform in New Zealand. Danping is also leading a project funded by the Royal Society of New Zealand to explore new theoretical directions for Chinese language education through a decolonial perspective. I believe her talk today, entitled Translanguaging as a Decolonizing Approach, is part of that research project. Well, before I hand over the microphone to Danping, I would like to remind all attendees that there will be another 3 talks. 2 talks will be in today's afternoon from Dr. Katrina Osborne at 2 to 3, and then from Professor Cai Wei at 3 to 4. The third talk, which is also the last one concluding our research seminar series, will be on 3rd of November, Friday, 9 to 10 a.m. from Professor Li Wei. So now, without further ado, let's welcome Danping to share with us the findings from her research project. Danping, please feel free to start anytime. I will stop sharing.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Zhang, for introducing me. I'll share my screen and hopefully everyone can see it.
Yes, I can see it.
All right. Thank you for inviting me to speak at your seminar series. It is really my greatest pleasure to have this wonderful opportunity to share my recent research on translanguaging, multimodality, and decoloniality in Chinese language teaching in the context of New Zealand. We are 12 hours ahead of Dublin, so currently it's 9 o'clock in the evening. And I appreciate Dr. Zhang for considering the time difference and scheduling my presentation first. The title of my talk is Translanguaging as a Decolonizing Approach, Students' Digital Multimodal Compositions in the Beginning Chinese Language course. Before I start, I wanted to say that I did not come to this topic only by way of theory. To me, translanguaging and multimodality are not just fascinating research ideas. I see myself as Chinese language teaching professional, and all my research work is closely related to my teaching and also for transforming my teaching to make a genuine impact on Chinese language education in the changing times, and also to make my Chinese programs stronger and more sustainable. So I bet this eye-catching image on the slide has grabbed your attention. It is actually created by one of my students for a DMC project in my beginning Chinese course. But before I dive into all the course details and the theories behind the project design, I'd like to give you a little background on our Chinese program. And this will help you understand how I got started on this project and why we are doing it here. And also, I think it's worth mentioning that New Zealand is a context that might be less familiar to our Chinese teachers, compared to the more widely recognized environments like the United States and the UK. So a bit more about the program. New Zealand, it's an island country, and its land is actually slightly larger than the UK. So while New Zealand itself is a relatively young country, It's fascinating to say that the Chinese migrants have lived on this island for over 180 years. So in terms of Chinese language teaching, my university has a special place in history. We were the very first institution in New Zealand to offer Chinese language courses all the way back in 1966. Which is more than 5 years before New Zealand and China established the formal diplomatic relations. So standing in front of the plaque that says 格物明德 is actually the entire Chinese department. So with our Chinese major students standing in the middle, the two of us are responsible for 8 language courses and overseeing several Chinese culture papers, which is currently taught by temporary staff. And one of the courses I am teaching is the beginning level Chinese course, the 零起点 中文班, which is the largest course in our program. Each year, I will have about 200 students in the course, and they will be divided into 7 to 8 streams for tutorials. And in this course, we normally have 4 to 5 teaching assistants who are also our PhD students doing research related to Chinese language teaching. We also have 4 postgraduate courses focusing on training Chinese language teachers for New Zealand community. And in this photo, this is the Chinese pedagogy course. And in that year, we have the honor to invite Professor Zhao Yang, the Dean of School of Chinese Second Language from Peking University, to visit us and provide workshops to our students. And we, in addition to the 8 language courses I mentioned, we also have 5 study abroad courses where our students can have Chinese language and culture immersion experience in China for about 6 to 8 weeks. And then we also work closely with school teachers, and the one in the middle wearing a green jacket is me. And I was invited by our national language advisor to provide workshops to our school teachers. So you can see them wearing traditional Chinese clothes. And in 2019, we organized the first international conference on Chinese teaching and research. And I'm currently planning for the second one in the next couple of years. And I hope you can all come and join us in the next conference in Auckland. In the beginning of this year, my colleague and Martin East, who is also the president of New Zealand Association of Language Teachers in the ALT, and we published this edited volume. We are supported by 29 authors from many different locations to contribute chapters on many different topics related to Chinese language teaching in this country. So we have covered from preschool to universities, and also from home domain to community, and from teaching Hanzi, Chinese characters, to virtual study abroad. And this book is the first to provide an in-depth examination of the landscape and history of Chinese teaching in New Zealand. However, this book is more than just about presenting a New Zealand case. Is to search. We find perhaps it's time that we move beyond the narrow focus on linguistic studies and the input and output hypothesis without considering the overall, social and cultural and political environments. We believe it's time we take a break, perhaps from always trying to catch up with the Western pedagogies, and start making room for other knowledge systems to play a role in Chinese language teaching. So I know I have kind of achieved some recognition for my work on translanguaging over the past few years. And my approach to translanguaging has been greatly influenced by the recent education reform in New Zealand, which has eventually led me to explore the connections among translanguaging, multimodality, and decoloniality. In 2019, the New Zealand government launched a series of major changes to the National Certificate of Educational Achievement, which is called NCEA, which is our official secondary school qualifications for students in year 11 to year 13. So basically, this is like Gaokao in China. Among the 7 recommended changes, as you can see from the image on the left, the second one, Mana Olite, Mote Malteranga Maori, it's considered a significant breakthrough in the New Zealand education system. This is the first time the formal and national education system actually open the space for a non-Western knowledge system to play a role in our school education system, and not only school but also universities. I will talk about it later. So since 2020, I was appointed by the New Zealand Ministry of Education as the subject expert group member to work with secondary school teachers in Asian languages, including Chinese, Japanese, and Korean, to review and rewrite the curriculum for each language. So in the past few years, we have developed new course materials, outlines, assessment instructions, and sample test materials for each language to use from 2024. So there are major changes in the New Zealand education system. So because of that, the word I just quote, the number 2 change, if we use English to translate it, it's giving equal status to Maori epistemology. So on the right hand, you can see a lot of words that are written in Maori, mostly written in Maori language. These are the what we call Multirana Maori and Maori knowledge, and the basic concepts or the most popular concepts we use to guide our teaching and assessment and research. So because of the educational change, we have numerous Indigenous concepts like this integrated into our teaching and research and everyday life. And each of these concepts embodies a distinct worldview and epistemology. As you can see here, many of them are written in the Maori language without English translation. In this approach, it's preferred to preserve the original meaning of these concepts and also to contribute to the revitalization of the Maori language. And in this manner, I wanted to say, a translanguaging space will be created, maintained, and justified as itself as a government-endorsed language policy in the New Zealand education system. So in this way of thinking and living and being, we use Multiranga Maori not only as popular concepts, but also as the principle that we can use directly in the classroom for curriculum design and also for assessment design. I will give you just one word, focus on one word as an example here. For example, the red one, the longest word you can see in the word cloud is called whanongatanga. So this word means to establish family-like relationships. It refers to building and maintaining relationships through, honoring and creating shared experience. Well, initially, it's more about, kinship rights and obligation within a family. but now it has been expanded to include close family ties and also friendships and other reciprocal relationships. I will come back to this term when I show you my course design, but let's have a look at the word for now. And because of the recent education reform, many of us, my colleagues and I, we have started to learn and also unlearn and to explore how to incorporate Indigenous knowledge into our courses. And for my case, it's Chinese language teaching. So because of some of my successful experience, I was invited by Tuya, which is our national PD professional development provider, to write learning materials for language teachers in schools. And what you see here is the first part of the report that I wrote for Tuya, and it was published in the beginning of this year. And if you're interested in this report, I can share it with you. And in August this year, I was awarded a Teaching Excellence Award at the Faculty of Arts in my university for my innovative approach to using Maori knowledge to transform Chinese language teaching. Translanguaging and multimodality are actually the concepts, the core concepts, central to my teaching philosophy. And I wrote these two concepts in my teaching portfolio that I submitted to the Teaching Excellence Award committee. They have been recognized by my university as powerful theoretical tools to bring about new learning opportunities and new visions in higher education, language teaching. So actually, I mentioned this because I needed a good excuse to show you my baby who joined me in the celebration of my teaching award. And at that time, I think he was just 3 months old. And so just yesterday, and what a nice and sweet coincidence. And I received a letter from our Vice Chancellor's office that I was awarded the University Teaching Excellence Award. And I hope I can bring my baby to the celebration again. And I will show you more photos. So over the past decade, we need to talk about translanguaging a bit more. It has gained widespread attention in the academic world. I think many people who join me here tonight are interested in translanguaging to some degree. It has, led to numerous publications that, seek to explore the application and dimension of the theory. My understanding of translanguaging has also, evolved from seeing it as a pedagogical tool, which is, you can see from the paper I published in 2016, to embracing translanguaging as a decolonizing approach. Before I move forward, I wanted to say there has been a lot of misunderstandings about the notion of translanguaging. And Li Wei and Ophelia Glacier, the top theorists of translanguaging, they have to publish a paper to clarify what is translanguaging and what is not. But simply put, trans means transcendence of named languages, to break the boundaries of named languages, and to view one's linguistic resources as one entire repertoire rather than just one language here, one language there. It is not simply about just using students' first language, because we don't see the boundaries anymore. So it doesn't matter about first or second or third. And it also is not about initial language is seen as the only desired information or the linguistic resources, which is distinct from all other languages. And there's a clear boundary, but actually non-existing boundary between the languages that we talk about when we use translanguaging. So this is code switching is no longer in the context when we talk about second language teaching and learning, because when translanguaging comes out and code switching is not as a progressive concept as it is seen before. So this is really a progress in the theory that how we look at languages. So let me move forward here. Sorry, don't go anywhere. Recent research on translanguaging has highlighted the porous nature of the boundaries between both named languages and the word views and epistemologies embedded in the language that people use. So the porous nature of the boundaries means there's no clear-cut, distinction between one language and another language. There are always something that we share when we use multiple languages. And especially when we look at the language we use for daily communication, it's really not the case that one language here, one language there. And to a lot of people who are working on translanguaging, we started to see translanguaging as a decolonizing project because it seeks to challenge the abyssal thinking. It calls for attention to the boundaries that is socially and politically constructed to maintain the existing social orders. And in this paper, Li Wei and Glass's paper, they have clarified that translanguaging is not about first language teaching. It's not about using students' first language. It is about breaking not only the linguistic boundaries, but also the epistemic boundaries, which means when you use the languages for when you use this language and that language, you are trying to tell people you have different worldviews, you have different value systems, and this cannot be, this cannot have clear-cut boundaries in between. So we always, as human beings, we always share something in common. So in this paper I published in the Applied Linguistic Review last year, I also argue against the concept of abyssal thinking in modern language teaching and research. And specifically, my paper focused on Chinese language teaching. If we pay attention to English language publications about Chinese language teaching, we can sometimes see there's a trend or a pattern that Chinese language teaching has been always criticized as not modern or not Western enough. And they are believed to be the primary reasons causing student demotivation, disengagement, and even discomfort. So there's often a perception about Chinese language teachers when they're working in overseas context, they needed to be educated and compelled to entirely adopt a Western teaching approach for their professional work to be considered effective and acceptable. So there seems to be a problematic boundary in deciding what knowledge and practice are legitimate and what are not. And we needed to use translanguaging as the theoretical tool to challenge it. So in order to help visualize this abyssal thinking or abyssal line, I created this image to show you how this abyssal thinking might look like. It refers to a social reality that is classified as either the world is on this side or on the other side. So Western knowledge is always positioned as truth on this side of the abyssal line, which is modern and visible and it can be imagined or classified. Well, epistemologies that do not meet the Western criterion are banished to the other side, where they are reduced to sometimes like false knowledge or simply like opinions or feelings that can hardly be imagined or classified. So this is about when we do research in the field of Chinese language teaching, and we sometimes have to challenge. We feel we have a responsibility to challenge this kind of thinking. We needed to bring about something new. We wanted to showcase that not only the Western approach is a legitimate approach and it can be effective in language teaching. So moving forward, this article I just introduced belongs to a special issue I edited last year. And using the special issue, I hope to move the theoretical discussion of translanguaging outside of the context of teaching English or in the EMI context. I wanted to bring it out of the center about teaching English, and also to extend the focus of translanguaging as a decolonizing approach rather than just a pedagogy. I'd also like to draw your attention on the paper contributed by Dr. Zhang Qi and her colleagues, and also I think we have Dr. Osborne here with us. In this paper, I think this is the first time a group of authors and scholars examined translanguaging and multimodality as core theoretical frameworks in teaching Chinese characters. So in the next couple of slides, I will also quote from their papers when I talk about the connections between translanguaging and multimodality. So first of all, I would like to focus on why we needed to see multimodality and translanguaging as a coherent theoretical framework, and why these two concepts work hand in hand and will help us bring some genuine changes in our classroom. So in the paper I recently published with Martin East, we highlighted the natural human interactions as inherently complex, dynamic, and also, most importantly, messy. And this concept, see communication and language use as messy, creation as creatively messy, is also a concept that we draw from Rodney Jones. And I think he edited a special issue also in the Applied Linguistics Review, if you're interested in that. He also mentioned, there are connections between translanguaging and multimodality in their special issue, but not specifically in the context of Chinese language teaching. In these interactions, languages are not constrained by separate or isolated structures tied to specific mode of communication. And in Dr. Zhang and her colleagues' paper, and they also quoted from Ophelia Glatzi and Li Wei's book, translanguaging embraces multimodality as successful multilingual interactions have been aided by multimodalities. Their gestures and objects and visual cues, touch, tone, sounds, and other modes of communication, besides words and linguistic resources. And Jolene, I think this is a name that we are all familiar with, and she is among the translinguists who have advanced the translanguaging theory by emphasizing the trans-semioticing dimension in her work. And these theories extend their scope, to examine language as intricately and intertwined with various other semiotic elements, such as visual gestures, body movement, and all this process of meaning making and meaning negotiations. So just very quickly, let's have a look at the updated version of the New London Group Manifesto of Modes. We all kind of generally recognize concept of response to the growing influence of media and also the global migration. And they emphasize the concept of mode in their work on multiliteracy pedagogies. And because they recognize that communication and meaning making in the contemporary society actually go beyond traditional linguistic modes. There are so many different kinds of modes that we needed to pay attention to that actually conveying meaning in our daily life. So the multiliteracy's approach challenges our traditional perceptions of literacy as a single and pure written and print mode of text. So from now on, we needed to see text as multimodal rather than just linguistic, reading and writing, that simple. So the basic assumption of multimodality is that meanings are made and interpreted through many representational resources, such as image, writing, speech, sound, all this sort of modes. And the linguistic text is just one of the modes of meaning making. In 2020, my friend from Hong Kong, Danny Lee, and I have been invited to contribute a chapter on digital multimodal composition, specifically in the context of Chinese language teaching. So we can try to define digital multimodal composition here, drawing on the work done by other scholars in the field. And I think basically we wanted to say almost all the research that has been done in this field related to English language teaching and learning. So there has been really no significant empirical research in the context of Chinese language teaching. There could be some experiments or some small cases, I think, but still in our field, we needed to first of all incorporate the concept and also to draw on the theories and other people's work to, move forward our Chinese language teaching in the digital age. So very briefly, digital multimodal composition is an innovative approach to teaching, writing and communication that, hang a sec, that leverages digital technologies to create multimodal text that incorporates a range of semiotic resources. So these resources can include, multiple kinds of modes. And in our forthcoming paper, we highlight a point that DMC, also help both students and teachers develop important digital literacy, such as the ability to navigate digital tools, to collaborate with peers online, and to critically evaluate digital resources, to challenge misinformation, stereotype, racism, and social injustice. I wanted to highlight this point because we find it especially important for Chinese language teaching. Just as I mentioned before, when I was showing you the abyssal thinking, the image, we have a lot of stereotypes and racism around the Chinese community, Chinese people, Chinese culture, Chinese language teaching. So using DMC could potentially help us, make a difference when, when students in the Chinese classroom, they ask questions about this kind of topics. And also we can help them, by teaching them the skills, they can use this digital skills, digital literacy, to find the truth and find the real information about what China really is and what the Chinese language actually look like, rather than believing what they see on social media. So there's a long way to go. So by encouraging students to engage with DMC, educators and language teachers like us, we can help them become more effective communicators in the digital age. And this is really to prepare them for their academic success and also professional careers. And also it can be an exciting and engaging way to teach a language, because it really encourages students to be themselves and to draw on the resources they have and to break the boundaries, between languages and between the cultures, and to really show you a holistic self in front of you, rather than just copying down the dialogues and repeat the dialogues with the teachers. So, and one point I need to mention, also based on our research, we find, students, when we always see students as digital natives, and we think they are all, of course, they can do this kind of jobs, tasks. but their primary interaction with modern technology often, most of the time is just limited to passive consumption of entertainment, like video games. They may know a lot about, Minecraft or Zelda, but they may not know how to, use those digital tools for educational purposes. And also, they are good at using smartphones and computers, but they don't know, how to use this, devices together to make a project that is truly meaningful and has not only personal meaning, but also social meaning. And also I needed to mention that teachers, we also needed to systematically enhance our TPAC skills. We needed to know how to, keep up with the space and keep up with the students' progress in using and learning all of these technologies. And this is the paper we published in 2022, and it's based on our 1 year Zoom discussion, because at the beginning of the COVID, every language teacher, they panicked. They wanted to know how to keep going teaching Chinese, because this is the language we find the most challenging to teach online, because we needed to write the characters and we can't do it on the screen. And all the shops were closed, and we can't buy any other devices to make our teaching cooler or more effective. So we need to think about how to do this. And this is the beginning of our collaboration. And my friend, Danny Lee, she is now promoted to the head of the Chinese department in the international school in Hong Kong, which in that school, they have a very strong Chinese language program. And I think that's partially due to her own, efforts and her interest in using, multimodal digital, all those kind of tools and innovative thinking in improving her program, so it gets stronger and stronger. And what I'm showing you here is actually the information she brought to my attention when we started to work on the project. And by the way, I wanted to mention, this is there are a lot of research actually is going on in the IB International Baccalaureate curriculum context. And actually, our research, we draw on the concepts and guidelines, and also research published in the IB language teaching area. And because we sometimes focus on language teaching in schools, in universities, we sometimes forget about international curriculum, those kind of programs. And this 1 year action learning circle, there's a particular framework I'm going to show you later. And you can also use this framework with your teachers and also with yourself when you think about, making a changes using multiliteracies and multimodalities in your teaching of Chinese. So this is a little background about the paper we worked on. In 2020, I don't know why everything happened that year, and IB also published a new language acquisition guide, introducing the concept of multimodality for the first time officially in their acquisition guide. And also it has specifically explained what is multimodal text and how the IB curriculum will assess students' ability to produce multimodal texts, no matter what languages they are learning. So they have all the definitions there, and also how this multimodality concept align with the inquiry-based learning, which is the core teaching and learning philosophy in IB education. And also they highlight the multiliteracy skills as essential for students to participate fully in school and society. Rather than just learning a language, is for them to participate in the society, as a citizen, and to foster stronger critical thinking skills to tackle real life. So generation, our students to survive in the technology-powered digital age, and especially when they learned the Chinese language, we are not expecting them to write a letter using pen and paper. And we would expect them to use all sort of modern technology, especially what Chinese people use in China to communicate with a real Chinese person. I can make a real friend in China, rather than focusing about the amazing skills they have learned. It's really not enough. But we also recognize, if you want to integrate DMC into your teaching, we need institutional and policy support. Because if you just use it for, in the 5 minutes of your teaching or as an activity, for fun, you wouldn't be able to make any real change. You have to integrate it into your assessment, just as the Abbey language acquisition guide suggested. You have to introduce DMC officially, teach students how to use it, and train teachers how to teach it, and also include that part of knowledge into assessment. So just very quickly, and I'll show you some of the examples that we presented in that research paper. So these DMC projects are designed for students at different proficiency levels. So in IB system, we have, the emergent level, the capable level, and native and near native level. So for the first one, the lower level learning, we used the emoji retelling as a DMC project idea. So initially we asked students to, of course, we have taught students some basic grammar and vocabulary and new words and concepts. And also we asked students to fully participate in this round of activity. So we asked students, you can use emoji and to tell stories about what you wanted to say. So we give student questions like that, and we work on we use the Google Doc, and all the students are working on the same file, and then they put emojis to represent the words they wanted to say, and then they work together in a group, and they find out what the words are in Chinese, and they can use pinyin, they can use English, they can use everything they want. So there will be an encoding and decoding stage. And then by using, multiple kinds of resources, and then, at the end of the day, everyone learn not only about the new words, they also get to know each other as good friends in the very beginning of their Chinese learning journey. And the second one is called multimodal poetry or concrete poetry. I think if you're familiar with literacy, English literacy, you probably know that there's a tradition in the past that people would use English language to make a shape. So the students put all this word together to represent a trophy, and at the same time, the student wrote a poem to tell her mom that winning trophy is not the only important thing, and being rich is not the only goal in her life. And of course, students will need to bring her ideas to the teacher to have a consultation, but all the ideas and the concepts and designs are from students. And lastly is the video project that students in a higher level Chinese learning course, they work together. And this is a project they did as a group, because students, when you in the real life, when we work together, it doesn't matter, you are stronger in speaking the language, or you're stronger in writing it, or some students are just good at making films, or good at editing, or putting the subtitles and typing pinyin. So they put the students together and they work as a group. Students hate group work. But with this digital multimodal composition project, they somehow enjoyed it, because it's not asking them to do the same sort of things. They use their strongest assets, their skills, to contribute to one project. And at the end, they will have the cast, giving the credit to each group member what they did together. So this is about the neon lights in Hong Kong and its history, and how these these lights has given life to the street light in Hong Kong. Nightlife stories are very, very rich. But usually if you don't have this multimodal composition design, and student would just write an essay, and you don't see anything, you don't know what they look like. And I think, this is really something that we have got students to actually go into the society, to interview people and take photos and make videos and come back and present a holistic project that has social meanings. And this is the multiliteracy matrix that I mentioned before when I introduced that paper. So these are the questions that I put together, and also quoted from the work that you see at the end of the table. And these two authors been working in the IB context for a long time, and they are very well known over there, but not in the Chinese language teaching or foreign language teaching. I think, when we work on an innovative idea, innovative concepts, we needed to work transdisciplinary. Bring this concept into consideration. So by using these questions, when Danny Lee, my co-author, and we met online over Zoom, we constantly talk about these kind of questions. And over the 1 year of meeting, we come up with that paper and with the design of the DMCs. And before I close, I think I'll use maybe 5 minutes to quickly show you what I'm doing here in the University of Auckland when it comes to DMC designs. And because, when we teach a language, we have to teach all the basic skills. And before that, we only talk about, reading and writing. When we teach Chinese characters, especially the writing part, we only focus on, there's a radical and a stroke order, and then the structure of the character and how to write correctly. But in the digital age, we first of all, we needed to teach students how to type, use a keyboard on their smartphones. So this is what I do in week 1, in the beginning Chinese language course. So we are doing blended teaching now because the university find it's cheaper to run the course in that way, unfortunately. But of course, I think, teaching this part of knowledge in the classroom would be more meaningful because I can demonstrate to students directly. But with this video I recorded for my students, they can watch it again and again, because this is a completely new concept to many people who have no ideas or no prior knowledge about the Chinese language. They see Chinese language like, what you see on the cover of my lecture. This is like big box and drawings. So it's not an easy journey to get people to understand. They are systematic. There's a story behind them, and they can actually type on the smartphone by using pinyin, just like English alphabet. So all this magic, process has to be done in 18 minutes. So, this has to be taught to students. Otherwise, DMC wouldn't be, successful in your, later integration into your assessment and teaching. So I have 7 different parts. Some part of it can't see the title. And I think for all of you, if you're interested in multimodality and then DMC, you probably needed to have this part of teaching in your course. And I strongly recommend you have it in week 1. And to combine what I just said about translanguaging and multimodality and decoloniality, and this is the design of the assessment in my beginning Chinese language course. So we incorporate the concept of mihi and pipiha, which is Maoli words for introducing yourself. Mihi is for non-Maoli, and pipiha is for Maoli people. So you needed to not only introduce who you are, but also the mountain and the river and Malay and the boat that are meaningful to you and your tribes. So there are a lot of things that you needed to know and remember, but this pattern. And we find a very interesting thing is that the Maori ways of introducing themselves, not to mention the culture part, it's very similar to what we do in Chinese. So it's like greetings, who am I, my last name and my full name, and thank you everyone. So by using the Maori structure, I'm telling my students, hey, you can do this in Chinese. It's not hard at all. And also, I tell students I have some guiding principles in doing this assessment. So do you still remember the Maori concepts for nonga tanga from a couple of slides ago? And this is the concept I draw here. And also I have another one, it's called tonga, is to see language and shared experiences as your treasured memory. And then put them together, and I'll just skip that part. We have this assessment. It's a video DMC project, and students will be given, 1 to 2 minutes to make a video. To make a video that lasts for 1 to 2 minutes. And in this video, I have they will introduce themselves and their family, drawing on the concept of whanongatanga, seeing each other as family and very close ties, and seeing their experiences, as family members, as creating and honoring a shared experience. They grow up together, they're growing old together. So students are not only like teenagers or university students, we also have adult students in the classroom. So students come at different age, but they will have a family, then they have something to talk about. And students international students who do not have their parents or grandparents here, they can use their family photos to tell the story. So still, there are a lot of semiotic resources they can put into the assessment. And then I made it specifically, as you can see here, you can use whatever languages that are meaningful to you. And of course, this is for Mandarin Chinese assessment. You will probably need to show me, enough evidence, that you have learned something from the course. And other than that, when you talk about the names of the place or your parents' name or anything that is meaningful to you and your family, feel free to use the language. It could be any language, that Korean, Japanese, Vietnamese, whatever languages, European languages, all sorts. So students would obtain consent from their family verbally, and then as teachers, we will do this DMC project first, and then we're going to show students, look, we did it first, and there's nothing to be, ashamed of or to be shy, and you can do this. And also, we provided the tech support. As you can see here, we provided 2 workshops and to tell students how to make a video, how to prepare a script, and to do screenwriting and filming, and also uploading all sort of things, the technology part that students are concerned. Okay, so I'll probably show you the video and then we can close this talk. 1 second, please.
你好，我姓呢，名字是Ella。我家有5口人，我的爸爸、我的妈妈、2个哥哥和我。
Whoa, Joe, see that?
Whoa, ciao, Adrian.
Ni hao, 我叫 Anthony. 你好，我叫杰克森。
他们是新西兰人，我爸爸57岁，我妈妈56岁。我爸爸的工作是 CEO， 我妈妈是家庭主妇。杰克森25岁 ，Anthony 24岁，我20岁。我们是收养的孩子，我们不是新西兰人。杰克森和 Anthony 是菲律宾人，我是中国人。杰克森的工作12岁 ，Anthony 的工作是教授家。我是奥克兰大学的学生，这是我家的照片。我们是苗线，我们喜欢女性， 我们喜欢剧感. Something memorable about my family is that we are all of different ethnicities. We value and love each other. We are made to be together.
你好，
你好，What's up？有问题吗？
So this video, we will look at it, and it's just like, you see the students are making effort, not only, to improve her teaching and to have a good grades by submitting this assessment, but also she involved her family into, speaking and trying to speak at least some Chinese, and also her siblings. And in the video, she said, we are adopted children in the family, and she is not afraid to share this part of her family background, and she's proud of it. And even though we're from different ethnicities and backgrounds, we love each other. And she used a lot of emojis and also English, and also she put everything together as a holistic video project to tell us, after just 6 weeks of learning Mandarin Chinese, and this is what she can do. And she has genuinely shown, her understanding of Nongatanga, family work together, love each other. And this has a social impact, to bring university studies outside of the campus for some social media. And the parents are super proud of their kids doing this. And to me, I love marking again, because everyone's video projects are different. I was sitting in front of the computer, I marked 147 videos in one go, and I just, I couldn't stop. Sometimes we just watch, TikTok, and now, and then my students said, how are you always on your phone? I'm too busy. I said, I'm marking. This is really fun, and some students comments about how they enjoyed it and feeling thankful, especially for the students who are learning the language, the Mandarin Chinese, which is one of their parents' home language. And this is the first time they actually use the language to communicate with their parent. So it's very touching, and not, to me, this is not only teaching the Mandarin Chinese language, this is also me providing an opportunity that we see, the value of language learning in the family domain, in the society as a whole. So I think I'll have maybe 1 minute to briefly mention the cover of the PowerPoints, and then we can close it. I don't have to, say the conclusion. I think pretty much you understand what I wanted to say today. This is the storybook designed by a student. At that time in the course, she has a 3-year-old son, and we gave the task to students. We said, we want you to create an ebook and teaching anybody, it could be a group of businessmen, and could be school children, and could be some, senior citizens who wanted to pick up Chinese for no reasons. You don't have to have very fixed purpose. And they said, oh, how about I make one for my own son and his friends in daycare or kindergarten. I said, fine, go ahead and do it. And then she put this all together. If you look at this design, it feels complicated. It's like material, like very much mature design, but she just used the PowerPoint. So it's not complicated at all. So when we talk about DMC, sometimes we get, oh my God, technology, I can't handle it. But this is just a couple of images, and then she can find all the panda images online. And then she just put the words here. And also she created a translanguaging space here, the Chinese words, Chinese characters, and Maori language. And, this is fascinating to see. And also she used this ebook with her son, and her son loved it so much. And then she shared it the interest of this such digital products. And I think maybe at some point I could put them all online and charge people $2 per download, and many people and students would be happy. And you know, all in all, I wanted to say, you know, DMC is not only meaningful in the classroom, not only meaningful to Chinese language teaching, but also in the society in general, to everybody. I think that's all. Dr. Zhang, I hope you are satisfied with the time.
Thank you very much, Danping, for such a really interesting and inspiring talk. I've got some idea about, you know, how to change my teaching. We probably won't have time for any more questions and answers, and I'm sure you can follow up the discussion with Danping afterwards and via emails. Just a gentle reminder that in the afternoon, we will have another 2 talks given by Dr. Katrina Osman at 2 to 3 p.m. and then by Professor Cai Wei at 3 to 4 p.m. I hope to see you all here. Danping, yeah, here is Danping's email. I'm really sorry that we run out of time for any questions or even comments, but feel free to get in touch with Danping or get in touch with us. We can pass on any more questions.